So I want to talk to you today about, are you living loved? That might sound like a strange question, but it's one of the most important questions that a Christian could ask themselves. You see, as a Christian, you're either living loved, you've learned how to accept and receive the love of God, and thereby you're living loved, or, may I suggest, you're hiding from God's love? Sounds kind of strong, but nonetheless you're hiding from God's love, afraid to trust Him unconditionally with your life. So let's expand on this a little bit and see where I'm coming from. I'm going to suggest that there are two ways that you and I can hide from God's love. And one is rebellion, and the other is religion. Whoa. That's right. And rebellion is really illustrated in what is traditionally understood as the prodigal son story, which for another broadcast we could talk about how that's really the prodigal father and his lavish love on his sons, but we won't go there today. But rebellion is illustrated by that younger son who basically defies God's love and seeks to cover up his own guilt and shame. And how did he do it? Through indulgence and sexual desires. Well, sounds like there's a lot of people living in rebellion today in our society, for sure. The second way that I've suggested that we hide from God's love is through religion. And I would suggest that this is far more subtle and far more prevalent to many Christians today. You see, religion seeks to cover up through good works, and don't forget the obligation of your religious taskmasters who are all too happy to tell you what to do. However, like the prodigal older brother in that story, religion, much like that older brother, still denies the father's place in his life. You see, both of these boys had father issues. And for us as Christians, I've come to discover that the majority of Christians have daddy issues. They have heavenly father issues. And as a result, we either follow rebellion or religion attempting to get us closer to knowing Him or knowing who He really is, or at least in religion we do, and yet it doesn't get us any closer at all. So, simply stated, religion is keeping score. It's striving for acceptance through what? Through our performance. Whether it be our good works or our ritualistic activities, which we've been trained to do by the religionists, who are all too happy to give us the disciplined life that we need to follow now that we've decided to be more like God. You see, those things put the focus squarely on who? Well, if you answered yourself, you're correct. The burden's on you to perform. And what we can do to be acceptable by God. Talk about raising the bar. Talk about trying to live up to an impossible standard. And thereby dooming and assuring our failure. In fact, most of Paul's letters were written because even the earliest believers found themselves trading relationship for religion. Now, it's interesting to me. There's kind of sometimes a movement today of, if we're going to get back to the early church, then we can really discover what it was like and we can be what we were supposed to be. But the truth is that they were as dysfunctional as we are. Look at all the letters that Paul wrote to try to address their dysfunction and their distorted thinking. And so, instead of learning to live in the security of His love back at the beginning of the church and all through the church, they would go back to what? What do we tend to go back to? Our traditions, our creeds, our disciplines. Oh, don't forget the laws. Laws tell us what to do, and if we just keep the law, then we know we'll be performing for God. You see, all these creeds and traditions and disciplines and laws are simply an attempt to earn our acceptance before God. But look who's trying to earn it. We are. And so what Paul was continually trying to remind the Christians that he wrote to, and thereby reminding us again and again, is that God's love would take them and us to a different place in our relationship. That it would replace our efforts and this whole achievement system that we've been brought up under, and replace it with a true relationship with a person who is love. So let me ask you, as you begin to consider this thought, how would you live today if you really knew that God absolutely loved you just the way you are, with all your flaws and dysfunctions, and yes, still struggling with sin? How would you live if you know you were totally accepted and loved by God? Well, the good news is that you are, and that you were designed by the one who is love, and you were created by love, and you were created for love. You are made to receive his love and to be an expression of his love. And when you and I begin to catch that, and when you and I begin to live loved by God, your life will be completely different, and you will begin to live with a confidence and a security like never before. You'll be experiencing everything that God created for you to experience to his glory. So why not live love today? Hi, I'm Don Burzynski. I want to thank you for tuning in to our broadcasts, Life as God Intended. We are a 501c3 ministry, and if you'd like to be a part of helping support this ministry, you can go to our website in the link down below. Thank you.